Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. And today we have something about AI lah. So I think it's our very first AI Zoom event. And the next week we are having the physical one, right, Shaowen? Yeah, all right. Shaowen, you can just say hi lah. I think knowing we have young friends makes me feel very old. Who else is a Gen Z here?
No, I'm a millennial.
Millennial, but your birthday, but you just crossed 30, right?
Right, 1997 or something.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I do not identify as a Gen Z. No.
yeah. I'm a baby boomer lah. Anybody here? Huh? I'm the oldest really not. Baby boomer is what? Okay, I'm born in the year of 19 something. UK. I was waiting for you to raise your hands up. You're of the same age. okay. So then you are man? Huh? You are man? Okay. Anyway, today pass to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, John. Yeah, so let me just share my screen first. Okay, great. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today in this simple vibe coding workshop. I think just a very quick introduction of myself first. My name is Shaowen. No, I am not a tuition teacher. My day job is actually helping out with my family business. But at the same time, I'm also running two side hustles. So one is a software development agency where I do projects mainly for MOE schools. And my second one is actually developing and running a platform called Enrollee. So just a quick one. One is Enrollee. Enrollee is actually a platform that is built specifically for private solo educators in Singapore, such as most of you here, I believe, to help you to streamline and automate admin work, such as scheduling, invoice generation, and payments tracking. And the reason why I'm able to do, these three jobs at the same time is because of AI, right? So AI has really helped me to be a lot more efficient in everything that I do, from coding to marketing to brainstorming new ideas. And I have to say, while I started off developing Enrollee myself, it is increasingly being built through vibe coding now, right? Just because it's so much more efficient. So I'd just like to take this chance today to share with you all about what I've learned from my own journey of vibe coding. So I just want to start off with a very simple question. Who here has vibe coded before? Anyone? No, so it's you guys are really here to learn. Okay, great. Yeah. So today I'll just keep things simple. I'll share about what vibe coding is, how to do it well. And at the same time, I also want to introduce to you guys what an app generally consists of, so that when you vibe code yourself, you will have a better idea on how to structure your app so that it is set up for success from the beginning. Right. We will also have some time for some hands-on activity where you can try to vibe code yourself. And then we'll end off with some time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Right, without further ado, let's begin. So vibe coding, right? So what is vibe coding? So vibe coding, this term is actually created by this person called Andrej Karpathy, right? So he's actually a founding member of OpenAI, right? The company behind ChatGPT. And he noticed more and more non-developer users using ChatGPT to code. And so we call it vibe coding, right? Because they were essentially just developing with vibes and not really caring about the code itself. Right, so this is what vibe coding means, right? You basically describe what you want in your own natural language, and the AI will write the code for you. But now here, I would really like to challenge everyone here a little more, right? Don't just think about vibe coding. Think more about vibe engineering. Why? Because you can think of the AI as a super smart, super enthusiastic intern that will do anything that you say, but you will only do what you say and will not think for itself. So which is why if you want to create successful apps or tools, you will still need to think and engineer it, but let the AI write the code for you, right? So to be able to think like a software engineer, we first need to know what an app is made of. So an app is generally made up of three parts, right? And you can think of it something like a restaurant, right? First, we have the front end, right? So this is what you see and interact with on any app, right? These are your buttons, your colors, your layout, your input fields, basically anything that you see and you interact with, right? And for a restaurant, this would be something like the dining room, right? Because that's what you as a diner, that's what you see and you experience when you walk into the restaurant, right? Next, we have the backend, right? So this is what you don't see when you interact with any apps. But the backend is the one that handles, all the logic behind your app, all the connections and all the rules, right? So for a restaurant, this would be the kitchen, right? So this is where the food is prepared, and the diners don't usually get to see the kitchen, but everything happens in the kitchen. Right, and last but not least, we have the database, right? So this is where all the data in your app is being stored, right? So for a restaurant, the database is like a pantry, which stores all the ingredients. Right, so with a real life example, right, let's take a look at like Google Sheets, right? So for Google Sheets, right, the front end is the cells that you see, right? All the cells that you can click on, that you can type in. So that's the front end, right? The back end then handles things like the calculation of the formulas that you use within each cell. It also handles things like the collaboration feature, right? So more than one person can work on the same sheet together. So the back end handles all of that. Right, and of course you have the database, right? It is where the database is where it stores all the data that you type into your Google Sheet, so that when you come back again next time, you will see everything that you have done in the past. So now that we know what an app is generally made of, we can start looking into how to create an app through vibe coding. Right, it is essentially a simple loop that you will keep repeating throughout the whole process. So first, of course, it starts off with an idea, right? And that idea could be as simple as, I want to build an app to quiz my students, right? I want a quiz app. Now with that idea, next we want to flesh it out, right? We really want to think about the details. And with all these details, we give them to the AI, right? So instead of just saying, I want a quiz app, right? You tell the AI, I want a quiz app about Singapore history, right? This way, the AI will be able to understand better what you envision in your mind and can build it closer to what you imagine. So generally, the more context that you give the AI, the better the output you will get. So once the AI has generated the code, it is now time for you to review and test it out to make sure that it generates what you are thinking about, right? And then from there, you can then refine your app. Maybe the AI didn't really get what you meant, right? So you want to make some edits, or maybe the AI nailed it and you want to further develop the app, and introduce more features, right? And so the cycle continues, right? You will then tell the AI again in detail what you want, and the loop just cycles and cycles. So what do I mean by telling the AI, what you want in detail, right? So what we want is essentially high quality prompts, right? The more details that you include in the prompt, the better the output will be. Sorry, give me a minute. Sorry, I got a call, but it's okay. Yes, so what we want is high quality prompts, right? So taking the example from earlier, instead of saying make a quiz app, we can say create a quiz app about Singapore history. It should have 5 questions with 4 multiple choice options, show the score at the end, and make it look clean with a blue and white color scheme, right? So this is very different from just saying make a quiz app, right? So with this prompt, the AI will be able to better understand what you want and will be able to generate a higher quality code base for you. So some golden rules that I discovered along my own journey is that firstly, you really want to be as specific as you can, right? Mention your purpose, mention your audience, mention who you are, what kind of feel you are looking for, what kind of features you want to provide, right? And then at the same time, the next rule is just ask for one thing at a time, right? Don't type, one long 5-page essay and expect the AI to be able to create a production-ready app with just one prompt, right? Build it step by step, right? Which really ties in with the next point, which is to iterate, right? Keep refining your app, keep iterating, on what the AI has built, step by step. And lastly, to emphasize again, to think like an engineer, right? The AI is like a smart intern, but it cannot really think for itself. So you will need to think for the AI. How do you want the logic to work, right? For example, for the quiz app, how do you want it to work? Do you want to randomize the questions so that your students, they won't share the answer and copy from each other, right? These kinds of things, the AI won't think for you, right? You tell the AI to make the app, they will just make the app, right? So thinking like an engineer will help you turn your vibe coder app into a production ready app. Okay, so now that the boring part is over, I would like all of you to try vibe coding something, right? So I think the learning really comes from doing it yourself in the hands-on work, right? So I personally would suggest using Claude artifacts, but if you have some experience with vibe coding and you are using a vibe coding tool already, you can just use that. But if you have not done any vibe coding before, I would suggest going to Claude.ai and using the artifacts feature. Right. So for today's activity, I think don't worry about the backend or the database integration. Let's just build something that looks like what you want, right? So you should tell the AI to just focus on the front end for now. Right. If you don't have any ideas on what to build, you can think along the angle of what is an app that you use every day, right? And then you can try to recreate that. Right. So before we start, let me see. okay, yeah, I've got a question. Is vibe coding similar to building Claude? Something like that. Like you can use Claude interactive artifacts for vibe coding, but I would say that Claude artifacts is just it's good for prototype. Yeah. So, but for today's activity, I think because of the time constraint, we would go with Claude artifacts. If you have your own tool, right, that you use already, feel free to use that. So I will break everybody into breakout rooms. I think for that, then it's a lot easier for me to engage everybody. But before I do that, I just want to show you one example that fact. So can you guys see my Claude page? Yes? Okay. So yeah, coming to Claude artifacts, I can just show you the prompt that I use. So this is the prompt that I use. I say, I'm an English tuition teacher, right? I want to build a web app where my students can use to practice their English speaking by chatting with an AI, right? So I'm giving context to the AI, right? I tell the AI, okay, who am I? I tell the AI what I want to do, essentially my end goal, right? I want a web app for my students to practice their English speaking, right? And then now I tell the AI, okay, exactly what I want, right? There should be a question on the screen that prompts the student to think critically on a certain topic, right? And then afterwards I go on to explain again, what the flow of the app is like, right? The student can then start recording and speak into the device. The speech will then be used by the AI to analyze, and the AI can provide some points on where the students did well and where the students can improve, right? So this is the logic behind the app, right? And then next, I talk about the front end, right? I say I want this to be mobile optimized, right? So that students can practice anywhere and anytime, make it user friendly, right? With a good user experience and make it look modern and smooth, right? So then at the end, I focus more on the front end, right? I tell the AI exactly, how I want the app to look like, how I want the user experience to be. Right, so then Claude gave asked a few more clarifying questions, and then I said, okay, looks good, let's start. And then it came out with something. And then next, right? So this is where I start refining, right? So initially, the name was called Speak Up English, right? So then I just told the AI to say to change the name to Speak Now instead. And then earlier there were also some text below at the bottom. So I say, okay, let's remove all these text below. And then this is done. And then next I say, okay, when I click on start practicing, I also want the ability to type instead of just recording, right? So this is how, you can continually refine the app, right? Just step by step, telling the AI, what is one specific thing that you want to change, right? So, and then on the right-hand side, you can see what the AI has built, right? So this is the user interface, of the app, right? If I can click try another question. So all these are the questions that the AI has generated. I click start practicing, I can tap to start recording, or I can type and then submit my response for the AI to analyze. But of course, right, this tap to start recording and the analysis of the AI. So all these are done actually on the back end, right? So which is what I didn't focus on. So here right? So the functionality is not built yet, but here you can actually just see how the ad looks like. And you can see how, it's really just like what, one prompt, two prompts, three prompts, and then we kind of got a working prototype already, right? So really, to create an ad through vibe coding, it's not hard, right? But what we need to know is, how to give high quality prompts, how to refine, how to iterate, so that the AI can create what you envision. Okay, so I don't want to take up any more time. I think we just have about maybe 20 minutes. I think maybe I'll give everybody 20 minutes. I think by 11:50, we'll all come back to the room. But take these 20 minutes, go to Claude.ai, go and use the artifacts, and then try to build something yourself, right? Anything that you want, anything that you're thinking of. And then yeah, and now I'll just spend some time in each breakout room to see if you guys have any questions that I can help with while you're doing the coding. Okay, so let me see 1, 2, 3.
Can I, before we get into the breakout room, a couple of hands if you have an idea on what to do. Okay. Okay, so normally before we release into the breakout room, right, we want to check. Otherwise they go in, they look at each other, they say what to do. Yeah. Okay. Still not very clear. Okay. Hands up if you don't have any idea what sort of artifacts you have to do. Okay, I'm not sure whether this helps. Maybe for those who have an idea, can you type in the chat box now what kind of artifacts you want to? That can throw in ideas. Huh? Yeah. In fact, you can also copy what Shaowen has just done. Speaking support. Yeah, it can be for Chinese, for English. I mean, even if you are not a tutor, you can just use this opportunity to do a similar thing so that we can just support you and you can start off doing something and not overthink. Yeah. Just give me a minute. I just want to make sure that they know what to do.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Shaowen, maybe you can just also throw in some ideas. Maybe you can do this, you can do that.
I think specific idea. So there really is. Yeah, that's a good idea, right? So I think it's really, you think about your own experiences, and I think generally there's, there's two main groups of apps, right? One is, you want to streamline your own operations, right? So this could be things like a to-do list. This could be things like some form of tracker. This could be things, like something that's really simple right now is like a news curated, just send you news every day. So that's operation side. And then the other side, I think more for you guys is more on like, like teaching aids, right? How you want to, just make use of an app to help your students learn better, right? So yeah, so things like that, just think along that lines, right? And I think what really helps is think about a certain pain that you're facing right now that you think that can be solved through an app, right? And then just from that angle, right, from that perspective, tell the AI, I'm facing this challenge. I want to build something, that to help me solve this challenge. And then the AI could either, give you a few suggestions, or if you have some idea already, just, tell the AI and then, just slowly iterate, right? Just slowly refine it. As you see the front end coming to life, then can, then what else needs to be changed, what else can be improved, what else can be added. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for that, John. So anyone else don't have any idea yet to for the coding? I don't think you need a paid version. I think the free version should be enough. It's just that you might be limited like by the number of prompts. Yeah, but as you can see, I think earlier 2 prompts honestly is good enough. Yeah, so I don't think you should be limited by the free version.
Like something that you'll be using. I mean, it's only for practice.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Only one. Okay. Anyway, for those who know what to do, right? Okay, who has done like coding before? It's just like texting your friend, and then you just talk to this thing called she has done coding before, so I want her to support the rest if you're okay with it, okay?
Okay.
And EC can be in a separate group. Then the rest can just random.
Okay, let me so what UK also done before, right? Dex also done before, is it? I think they picked up their hands. Yeah. So okay, let me see if I can assign manually.
Yeah. I know sometimes you may be busy. Okay. Okay. Claude in your laptop lah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see if this works. Yeah. Okay. Is it Shaojia, right? Is that how? Yeah. Do you see the notification to join the breakout room?
Sorry, where to see the
Oh. Also, it should pop up in your screen.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'll go and join the rooms now.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Actually,
Okay. Oh, I think is everyone back? I think seems like it, yeah.
yeah, and then we have a new.
You have a new.
Okay. Aurora, what should we play lah? Yeah, we are gonna do this too.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thanks for all the really live. Okay, so I think earlier as both John and I we went through each of the rooms. I think there were two main things that popped up lah. I think number one is how do we or more of like what are some of the other tools, right, that we can use in this whole vibe coding journey. So one tool that a lot of us I'll just type the. So this is the website Lovable.dev. So it's something like Claude artifacts, except that it is built for vibe coding. So I think there are a lot more features there that is able to assist you in your vibe coding. And then the second thing that popped up quite a bit is also how do I then bring the app that I vibe coded to be used by people, right? So that's the main thing. I think For today, we just really focus more on, how to write code. But to bring that prototype vibe coding app into production, there's actually, a lot more, there are a lot more steps in between. So earlier I was just sharing with one of the rooms that, after you have your code base, right? Generally, software developers put it into an IDE. It's called VS Code. And then from VS Code, you want to commit it to this place called GitHub. And then from GitHub, then you want to be able to deploy it to platforms. And then from there, the platforms will usually give you like a link where you can share with others so that they can interact with your app also. So there are a lot of other steps in between to bring your app into production. So that could be a topic for next time, if anyone else is interested. I think that's something that we could also do in the future. But yeah, so I think other than that, I thought today was quite a good session. I think just getting into vibe coding and just understanding how to make it work. I think if there's really only one thing that you remember from today's session is just give more context. Give more context to the AI. Every prompt that you put, just give more context, right? Don't just give like a few words prompt. Context that you give to the AI, the better output you will get. And to be honest, this is not limited to text you give to ChatGPT, the better the output they will give you. It is just how large language model works, because they are probabilistic, they're not deterministic, right? So the more context that you give, the better it can give you the better results. Yeah, so I think that's it for today. That's all I have. John, I'll just pass it back to you to close.
Okay, all right. Just spend about 10 seconds and then just type, okay? So that at least we can keep it as a record. Then Shaowen, this is not his.
Everyone, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Bye, everyone. Take
Thank
care.
you.